Learn more at chministries.org/wellness.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Wall Street got pulled in opposite directions on President Trump's latest tariff escalation and better than expected data on the economy. The S&P 500 fell 0.3% after drifting between small gains and losses through the day. The Dow lost 0.4% and the Nasdaq Composite fell 0.5%. General Motors sank sharply after the president announced 25% tariffs on imported cars. Foreign automakers likewise fell, but Tesla and Rivian rallied. Treasury yields held steady following better than expected reports on joblessness and the overall U.S. economy. The Dow was down 155 points today to close at 42,299. The Nasdaq lost 95 to 17,804. The S&P 500 dropped 18 points to 5693. With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. The clouds roll in overnight. We'll have a low temperature dipping down to 48. Tomorrow, you can look for a blend of sunshine and clouds. We're warmer. The high is 82. For the weekend, nicer on Saturday than Sunday. Saturday, mostly cloudy skies, the high at 80, while on Sunday, rounds of thunderstorms and 77. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody, as we continue on the road tonight here on Sports Talk. Boy, we have been everywhere. Where have we been? We've been to Nashville. We've been to Greenville. We've been to Providence. And now we are in Birmingham with the South Carolina women as they take on Maryland tomorrow, number 1 seed against a number 4 seed in their particular bracket in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA Women's Tournament. Welcome into our coverage of the South Carolina women. We'll hear from Dawn Staley tonight as she held court with the media. Chris Bergen, she's like really more than just the basketball coach at South Carolina. She has, because of her experience, both as a player, as a coach, and her success, she's kind of risen to the very top, and she embraces that. She embraces the fact that people come to her with questions about issues regarding women's basketball. She wants to be a spokesperson for women's basketball. So it was like, bring all those questions to her today, and that's what we had.
On a Blue Thursday. Well done, guys. Everybody in blue today for our show for whatever reason. But no, you're right. And one thing, if you watch any of the promotional stuff that ESPN has produced for the women's tournaments, you'll see Paige Beckers. You saw, the girl out at Southern Cal named
Juju.
Juju, thank you. Juju Watkins. You see all these different players from around the country, and then you see Dawn Staley. Yep. Dawn Staley is the figure in the face of South Carolina women's basketball, and part of that is I'm not sure you could define a superstar on USC's basketball team. You just have a superstar team. They play so well together, they don't necessarily have to. There is no Asia Wilson. There's no Aaliyah Boston, on this year's team. There's, not even a Camila Cardoso. But they've got enough pieces that they are such a good team. ESPN doesn't want to promote that. I found this interesting. I was talking with Smitty about this yesterday or the day before, and we were talking about in years past, you think back to the men's tournaments back in the 80s and 90s, you could name players off of all the teams. Can you name one player off of the University of Houston's team? They may win the national championship this year, but the men's tournaments has turned into a situation where Cooper Flagg and Janai Broom. But outside of that, there aren't many superstars in the men's game because they're already gone and playing in the NBA. Mm-hmm. So they promote the teams and the coaches on the men's side. But on the ladies' side now, they're starting to be able to promote Caitlin Clark the past couple of years. Now you have Paige Beckers and Juju Watkins, as we pointed out. And that's probably why part of it was so devastating that she got hurt. Aside from the fact it hurts her team, it probably will prevent them from getting to the Final Four. She was a superstar that ESPN and the NCAA tournament was going to be able to produce and promote the next 2 weeks, and they don't have that luxury anymore, unfortunately, because she's out. But I think that's been the biggest shift. And South Carolina, as good and as dominant as they have been over the last couple of years, they've done it the team way. Maybe with a few exceptions of Wilson and Boston, but for the most part, they've done it with a solid team led by a superstar coach. The other teams, and UConn has a superstar coach as well, but I think you'd say Paige Beckers is probably the face of that team as opposed to Gino. But you're right, Dawn Staley is the face of USC women's basketball, and there's no argument there.
Yeah. You talk about not having a face. That's an excellent point. I mean, name me another team in the country. There probably is none where the top 3 scorers come off the bench, which is the case at South Carolina. Yeah. I believe the top 3 scorers all come off the bench. And I mean, you could use the old Dean Smith, Michael Jordan line here with Dawn Staley. Who's the only person when Michael Jordan was playing in college basketball, who's the only person who could hold Michael Jordan under 20 points a game? And it was Dean Smith. He didn't want, he wanted the ball shared. You could say the same thing about Phil Wiley at South Carolina. Who's the only person who can hold Phil Wiley to under 15, 20 points a game? It's Dawn Staley, because she brings her in off the bench. And sometimes she doesn't play her a whole lot, as we saw last time out. Okay, we'll hear from Coach Staley. Nice contingent of media here from South Carolina. Big horde of media has made the trip here to Birmingham, the heart of SEC country. It just means more, of course. As I rolled into Birmingham and saw Greg Sankey panhandling on the street for NIL dollars,
it's
I
tough.
said,
It's
it
really
just
tough.
It just means more. It just means more to be here. We come to Birmingham too much. Birmingham and Hoover. Be back here in a few weeks for the SEC baseball tournament. Will the Gamecocks be here? Are they taking everybody in the SEC tournament? I got to go back and check the bracket.
That's a great question. I'm not sure.
He had some bad news today. He had some bad news today as he talked to the media. That is, second baseman Nolan Naraki probably lost for the year. Been having issues with his knees. He'll have to decide to either have surgery or go through physical therapy that would last a month. So it's possible he could be lost for the year. He was playing pretty well for them early in the year before he got hurt. And also, Coach Maneri said today that his pitching rotation for this weekend is going to be Jake McCoy Friday, Jarvis Evans Saturday, and TBA on Sunday. So they continue to have to shift things around with the pitching staff because of injuries and performance, and it's just not a good situation for them over there right now as they try to piece this thing together. Basically, kind of holding it together with duct tape right now.
And baling wire, exactly. And he mentioned as well during his press conference today, Dylan Eskew, not only was he going through concussion protocol after being hit in the head in the bullpen back on Saturday out at Arkansas, evidently when he was hit, he did something to his oblique muscle. And so he's dealing with that as well. He's got a strain or something along those lines in his oblique. So he's not going to probably pitch this weekend. They don't know when they're going to get him back. So you take out a guy you counted on to be one of your weekend starters. You've had to thrust Jarvis Evans in, and I think he's probably deserved an opportunity to pitch again this weekend against Tennessee. And they're not getting much out of their Friday night starters. Haven't since quite frankly, probably since the middle portion of the early part of the season when they started playing teams with a pulse. And so, I mean, they basically had to find somebody. You can't go into an SEC series and be as unsure about your pitching rotation as they are and hope to be successful. I'm pretty sure Tennessee probably is going to start the same 3 guys they started last weekend and the weekend before last and the weekend before that.
Yeah.
As good as their pitching staff is. And to answer your earlier question, all 16 teams do qualify for the SEC baseball tournament.
Yeah. Well, the Gamecock baseball team is kind of playing its way into the same situation as the basketball team is, and that is being the number 16 seed and playing on the – I haven't looked at the bracket to see how they're you know what? I think they've gone single elimination.
Yeah,
that's
correct.
right. They've gone single elimination, so there won't be that hanging around if you lose. So be a quick trip to Hoover unless the Gamecocks kind of get it rolling.
Yeah, I kind of actually like this. If you're going to invite all 16 teams, you can't have double elimination.
You'd be there for a month. Yeah.
You'd have to play 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so
you'd be there for a month.
If you're going to invite everybody, this is the only route you can go. Single elimination. You win advance, you lose, you go home.
Yeah. All right, of course, today is the official opening day of Major League Baseball. And, of course, we'll start with the team that everybody in South Carolina follows. That's the Yankees. And we're up 4-1 in the top of the ninth. We've got our new closer on the mound, and all he's done is worked himself into a bases-loaded, nobody-out situation. Come on, dude, you're supposed to be the man. That's why they got you. You're supposed to be the man.
That's too much to handle.
4-1. Interesting thing here, Yankees catcher Austin, what's his name? Austin. Oh, come on, Corn, you should know this. Anyway, he's batting leadoff for the Yankees, and he led off the game with a home run. I think he's the first Yankee catcher to lead off the season with a home run. So, anyway, Yankees are up 4-1, but it's tenuous. The Braves are playing out in San Diego. Chris Sale has been on the mound for them. And give you an update on that game very quickly. They're in the bottom of the sixth. It's 4-3. Braves are leading the Padres. They open the season out on the West Coast. Also today in games, opening day, that Yankee game's gone final now. 4-2. I guess when I'm watching on television is well behind. 4-2. Oh, wait a minute. That's not right. My bad. My scoreboard skipped to the wrong day. That was exhibition baseball. Let's don't do that.
Yeah, no, I'm seeing still top of the ninth, nobody out with the bases loaded, as you mentioned a minute ago.
Yeah, my scoreboard skipped on me here. So we're the 27th, right? Okay, so Baltimore is beating Toronto 12-2. Oh, here we go. 4-1 Yankees, top of the ninth, sacrifice fly. Cincinnati 3-2 over San Francisco. They're in the top of the ninth. And Cleveland over Kansas City 4-3, bottom of the eighth. White Sox 3-0 over the Angels, bottom of the eighth. Red Sox in Texas 2-2, mid-eight. Philly over Washington 3-1, mid-eight. Houston over the Mets. How's that Sosa trade working out for you? 3-0, Houston over the Mets, bottom of the seventh. Pittsburgh has come back to lead Miami 4-2, top of the seventh. St. Louis over Minnesota 1-0, top of the second. All right, so coming up tonight, besides what we have here in Birmingham for you, and by the way, they tip off tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern time. So we'll be dropping in on the show. Bergie will be handling everything back in Columbia. We'll have Smitty along with Major Billy Downer and other guests out at the annual Sportsman's Showcase out at the Sportsman's Classic out at the State Fairgrounds. So we'll have a segment of the show from there, and I'll be dropping in updates on South Carolina and Maryland tomorrow from here in Birmingham. But tonight, besides hearing from Dawn Staley, we're going to give you a little more Dabo Swinney from his post-scrimmage press conference yesterday. You only got a chance to get a little snippet on last night by the time we got it in. Give you a little bit more of the meat and potatoes of what he had to say. And also, we're going to hear from USC receivers coach Mike Furry, who met with the media the other day to talk about his group and how they're coming along in spring practice. We'll update some recruiting. In fact, a couple of other top notes from today. Jake Heidbreeder is entering the transfer portal, John, from Clemson. So the Tigers are down to, I think, 4 scholarship players returning. Dylan Hunter, Christian Reeves, Ace Buckner, and Dallas Thomas. And they have 3 incoming freshmen, Zach Foster, Jace Thompson, and Trent Steinauer. So Brad Brownell.
8, is that right?
You can have 15 on scholarship.
Yeah. Good grief.
So Brad Brownell is going to do some heavy shopping in the transfer portal, John, to have to fill up that rotation. Which again, this year-to-year stuff, I just can't see that being successful over the long term. Maybe I'm going to be wrong on that, but fans like to sometimes develop relationships and be able to relate to the players that they follow. And if it's always one and done, you're constantly turning over your roster, where's the fun in that? I get this. You can go root for the team, but I just don't see where the fun is anymore.
No, I agree with you.
At least in the pros, you got a chance to have, Major League Baseball, you got a chance to have 5 or 6 guys, regular guys, hang with you for a few years. But this college scene is like every year, I'm gone, I'm out of here. Somebody new's coming in.
It's interesting, Phil. It's only on the men's side. You don't see the women anywhere close to this in the transfer portal, John.
Good point.
And it goes back to my point earlier about there not being really superstars in the game. Now, each team probably has 1 or 2 guys. I mean, you can go through the list of teams that are playing tonight and tomorrow, and each of them have 1 or 2 superstars. But for the most part, I mean, you can't develop a relationship with them. I mean, I mentioned Paige Beckers earlier. Her entire career has been at UConn. Malaysia Fulwiley at South Carolina probably will spend her entire career at South Carolina. Asia Wilson spent her entire career at South Carolina. It just doesn't have, and even places that you would think they'd be happy. I mean, when Jake Heidbreeder came in from Air Force, memory serves, it felt like it was a good fit at Clemson, and he would finish his career there. But he goes 1 year, they go to the NCAA tournament, and then he's off somewhere else. It's getting more difficult for the teams that aren't the blue bloods of the situation. I'll be fascinated to watch what happens when Kentucky, whenever they're done. Tennessee when they're done. If Auburn does not win the national championship, Florida doesn't win the national championship, what's going to happen to some of their players?
Yeah.
I mean, are we going to see some guys off the 2 teams that play for the national championship in the transfer portal the next day? I'd almost guarantee you we will.
And if you're at Kentucky and you're at Florida, I mean, those are 2 teams that are going to spend money, and you're already in a really good program. Why would you leave?
Yeah.
Why would you go somewhere else and try to start over unless you have some pressing personal reason that's causing you to want to go somewhere else closer to home or something like that? But I mean, if you're already in a great program that will pay the money, why would you up and leave? So I don't get all that. Speaking of the tournament, take a look at tonight's men's games. The Sweet 16 for the men swinging into action tonight. And let's see, we've got Thursday 27th. So we've got BYU and Alabama is going to tip at 7:09. Maryland and Florida will go at 7:39. Arizona and Duke will be the 9:39 game. And Arkansas and Texas Tech will go at 10:09. So that's the first half of the Sweet 16 tonight. I don't know. Alabama, Florida, Arkansas, could all 3 advance tonight? I think it's very possible that all 3
I would agree
could still be standing after the smoke clears tonight.
I think that's very possible. Arkansas is starting to get some confidence, and they've got a head coach who knows a thing or two about getting to the Final Four and winning a national championship. And one thing, quite frankly, to me, the team that I would be most concerned about, because they have no interest in playing defense, is Alabama. I mean, they may outscore BYU, but this is a really good BYU team. And that 2-6 matchup, the first one up tonight, may turn out to be one of the more entertaining games of the night.
And tomorrow, Ole Miss, Michigan State, Kentucky, Tennessee, Michigan, Auburn, and Purdue, and Houston. That is the lineup for the Sweet 16. Okay, let's run to the break, and we'll come back. And, there's one thing about opening day. You know what that is, Berkey? You can't win 162 if you don't win on opening day.
This is true.
Hello, Yankees, 1-0, off to a great start. We're in the lead in the American League East early, and we scratched out a hard-fought 4-2 win over Milwaukee. Feeling good. I like this team. It's kind of a no-name, underpaid team. I like this team. Be back in just a moment.
When I grow up, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a dentist. I want to be an engineer.
Making dreams come true starts with making a plan. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 College Savings Plan, makes it easy to invest in a child's future education so they can chase any dream. You can start with any amount. Contributions are tax-deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college today at futurescholar.com.
Imagine a scrapbook filled with all your favorite memories of 75 years at Darlington Raceway. Now imagine that scrapbook going 190 miles per hour.
Have you ever? No, I've never.
You don't have to imagine it. You need to get to Darlington, where the drivers of today tackle the track too tough to tame, just like they did your first time. NASCAR Throwback Weekend at Darlington Raceway, April 5th and 6th. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com. Discover South Carolina.
Stay tuned. More Sports Talk is coming up on the Sports Talk Media Network.
One lottery ticket makes a big difference for our state students. And when I say big, I mean bigger than jackpot big. Since 2002, South Carolina students have benefited from more than $6 billion in lottery-funded scholarships and grants, including the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow Scholarships. With every lottery play, you're supporting our students, and that adds up in a big way. That's why education is our middle name. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Hi, Phil Kornblut here with our good friend George Bryan III, heard every Friday night on Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps right here on Sports Talk. George, the Tsunami Bar, a very valuable tool for golfers. Why is that?
Well, the first thing that I say is the tempo. It's the only tool out there that allows the study of tension right from the first grab to be expressed, and rhythm and tempo is what makes the bar work, and it gives you something awfully special to keep those hands soft and get that rhythm going.
Learn more about Tsunami Bar technology by clicking on the digital ad on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and save 5% by purchasing online using the promo code BBB5. All right, coming to you from Birmingham. Good to have you with us on this Thursday night. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and the plumber, Josh Cohen, back at our studios in Columbia. If you want to join us, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. And you can also hit us up with a text message. Text message number is 803-900-4847. It's 803-900-4847. Our text message line, along with our weekly poll question, brought to you by Larry Lucas Insurance. Call Larry at 803-799-1998. Let him help you out with all your insurance needs, all your questions about the complicated world of insurance. He and his staff do a great job. They can handle everything for you. 803-799-1998. Poll question of the week. How does your bracket look after the first two rounds of the tournament? 72.7% say they burned them. 18.2% responded that their championship pick is still alive. And 9.1% said they lead their contests. See how you feel after tonight's action. All right, some other things to tell you about tonight. Let's do the update on the PGA stop, because now we're getting hot and heavy into golf season around here with the Masters coming up, the RBC Heritage coming up. We'll have the PGA in Charlotte this summer. So much great golf. Texas Children's Houston Open, and it is Alejandro Tosti and Ryan Gerard, Keith Mitchell, and Taylor Pendrith. They're at the top of the leaderboard, 5 under par. Round is still ongoing, but they are at the top at 5 under par at this point. Trey Mullinex and Mac Meissner, Min Woo Lee, Sam Ryder, Victor Perez, Jackson Suber, they are all at 4 under par. And some others, Scotty Scheffler, 3 under through 15. Andrew Novak is in with an even par 70. Rory McIlroy, even par 70. And Jacob Bridgman, who's had a heck of a start on the season, he is at 2 over through 15. And Ben Martin playing in this one, he is 4 over with a round of 74. And getting excited about Augusta, everybody is, coming up in, what is that, just a couple of weeks, right?
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Not next weekend, but the weekend after.
Looking forward to that. We'll have our man Don Williams on the scene to report back to us all the happenings at Augusta. And
see where Jim Nantz announced today or yesterday that he will continue to broadcast the Masters until like 2029 or something like that.
No, 36. 2036.
That's what it was, yeah.
2036. That's nice.
I hope he's around. I think that's great.
Plan your life out that far down the road. Danny Hall's going to retire after this season as the baseball coach at Georgia Tech. He's got to be pushing 90. That guy has been there. You know, he was at Miami for a long time, and then he goes to Georgia Tech, and he's been there maybe even longer. Former Tennessee coach Jeremy Pruitt is suing the NCAA for $100 million, claiming they conspired with Tennessee to make him a sacrificial lamb. Ooh. Didn't he sacrifice himself with some of the things that he did, that they proved that he did?
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, Phil. Good lawsuit against the NCAA.
Seriously. James Madison at Louisville will be a Friday night football game. The ACC will have a national high, 12 games on Friday nights, like any typical JV college conference will do. Play on Friday night. We'll be back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. The clouds roll in overnight. We'll have a low temperature dipping down to 48. Tomorrow you can look for a blend of sunshine and clouds. We're warmer. The high is 82. For the weekend, nicer on Saturday than Sunday. Saturday, mostly cloudy skies, the high at 80, while on Sunday, rounds of thunderstorms and 77. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
If you step out into H&J Cattle's farm, you'll find third-generation farmers upholding the legacy. They embrace sustainability and take immense pride in their craft, raising cattle purely on nature's offerings, without growth hormones, antibiotics, or animal byproducts. The result? Unmatched quality beef that's not just good, it's the best in South Carolina. Experience the distinct flavor of our finest registered Hereford and Wagyu beef. Visit us online at hdjcattle.com or on Instagram and Facebook at H&J Cattle.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Buckingham Palace says King Charles III was hospitalized for observation on Thursday after experiencing temporary side effects related to a scheduled cancer treatment. His engagements for Thursday afternoon and Friday were canceled. His Majesty has now returned to Clarence House, and as a precautionary measure acting on medical advice, tomorrow's diary program will also be rescheduled. The top Republican and Democrat on the Senate Armed Services Committee are requesting an investigation into how Trump national security officials used the Signal app to discuss military strikes. A federal judge also says he will order the preservation of the messages. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 155 points. The Nasdaq dropped 94. More details at srnnews.com.
Step into a brighter future with Broker Solar. Transform your home, your business, your nonprofit into a beacon of efficiency and savings. With Broker Solar, you're not just installing solar panels, you're setting the foundation for long-term financial savings, taking control over these power companies that, well, let's face it, they have a monopoly. You can't choose your power company, but you can control the cost of your power. Ken and his expert team will help you to navigate through any complexities of solar energy. They'll tailor a system that's perfectly fit for your needs and for your budget. Get a rooftop setup or somewhere else on your land, or just start with solar to integrate powerful battery backups, so when the storms do come, the power goes out in your block, it'll stay on at your home. It's not for everyone, but if you're even curious, don't you owe it to yourself to reach out and call Broker Solar for a free consultation? Listen, if you trust the point, if you trust me, I'm telling you, you can trust Broker Solar. Explore your solar potential at brokersolar.com. Start generating power on your terms. Broker Solar, empowering you while shining above the rest.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
When I grow up, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a dentist. I want to be an engineer.
Making dreams come true starts with making a plan. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to invest in a child's future education so they can chase any dream. You can start with any amount. Contributions are tax deductible and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college today at futurescholar.com.
Sports Talk every weeknight from 6 to 8, feeling just right. Phil, Chris, and Josh, they're in the zone across South Carolina. They're well known. Sports Talk, bringing the heat, talking sports can't be beat. Tune in, don't you pout, it's the show you can't live without. Phil Cornblood with the latest news, Chris Bergen sharing his views, Josh Cohen making us laugh. Together they're on the right path. Sports Talk, bringing the heat, talking sports.
I tell you what, Sports Talk Orchestra never ceases to amaze me with their little ditties and how much they love us. Sports Talk Orchestra really, really loves us, and we love them as well. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. In Birmingham, South Carolina and Maryland, Gamecocks are 32-3, and Maryland 26-7. They were 13-6 in the Big Ten, and they've gotten to this point. Maryland has lost to Michigan in the Big Ten tournament. Then they beat Norfolk State 82-69. Then they had that incredible comeback against Alabama. They were left for dead against Alabama.
On this
remember?
show.
Yeah.
I pronounced them dead when they were down 17.
Lost in double overtime, 111-108. They have some good size, according to Dawn Staley. You'll hear from her in a little bit. Have some good size, and they played a pretty high pace. Mm-hmm. They'll get up and down the floor. So let's see. Size-wise, they have a couple of about 5, 6, about 6 or so guys that go 6'2". Here's a 6'6". Amari DeBerry, a senior, 6'6". So they got some size. We'll see if they can. Do you think they'll put up much of a battle with the Gamecocks tomorrow?
I think they can if they get the game up in their pace. I mean, they average about 81 points a ball game. The problem is what they don't do well, Carolina excels on. They turn it over 16, 17 times a game. And you turn it over that much against the Gamecocks, who will play as good a defense as probably Maryland's seen throughout the tournament. That's going to end up in transition buckets on the other end. I just think South Carolina, with the way they play, and their defense. I just can't imagine Maryland's getting anywhere close to 80 points tomorrow, and they probably have to have a chance to win.
Maryland basketball. You know, one of the all-time great high school girls players in our state went to Maryland. Do you remember her?
No.
You remember the name
so.
Beth Hunt?
Do not.
Beth Hunt. Now, I believe she finished up at South Carolina. She started out at Maryland. I mean, I believe she was the USA Today National Player of the Year, if my memory is right. She was from Sockasty, and she dominated. Look it up. She dominated girls high school basketball in South Carolina. And she went to Maryland, and she was there for a little while, year, two maybe. But I think she transferred to South Carolina at the end of her career. So
you're right. You're exactly right.
Yes, of course I am. Of course I am. Maryland has 4 players who average in double figures. Kayleen Smichael at 18 points per game. Cheyenne Sellers at 14.5. A couple of others who average over 10. So they got some balance, outscoring teams by only a bucket a game. They score 11 points a game. They average 81. They give up 70.5. So trying to keep their pace down will be important for the Gamecocks. They shoot it pretty well, 46% overall, and 36% from three. They average 6 threes made per game. So they're going to take the outside shot. So we'll see how South Carolina handles this. Our phone number, 888-898-2525. That's the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to reach us here on Sports Talk. And we got some messages coming in to us, some lovely messages coming in to us. Our text line number, the Sports Talk text line number, brought to you by Larry Lucas Insurance, is 803-900-4847. And this message says you cannot win in the SEC. Oh, this is a baseball comment on USC. You cannot win in the SEC with finesse pitchers. They can't throw strikes. 89-91 won't get it done without good command of the strike zone. That's a pretty good argument.
Yeah, it really is, and it's true.
And they do not have any really hard throwers that you see today in the elite teams. Please don't spend too much talking about women's basketball. No one really cares as much as you think. Again, this guy's
that'll be news for
himself.
the 9,000 South Carolina fans that'll be at the game tomorrow.
Again, no one cares. I've never seen fans of a school talk about women's basketball as much as y'all do. I guess if that's all you have to talk about it. Such a woke show. Bet all of y'all are Democrats. All right. I like that. Thank you.
That's a first. I don't think I've ever heard Sports Talk called a woke show.
No.
Because we talk about a team that's won 3 national championships.
Yeah.
I guess we should stop talking about Clemson then, too, since they win a lot.
Yeah.
We can't talk Clemson football either.
Well, I mean, this person believes that women's basketball is not important to him. And, it's, again, I think there's obviously South Carolina has developed a heck of a following for their women's basketball team. There's no denying that. Even though I haven't read the story. Did you read the story
Fascinating
by
piece.
Jordan Kay today
I
about well, you tell us the story. This is in the state newspaper. He got the budget numbers from South Carolina. Now, he had written this previously, the fact that the South Carolina women's team operates at an annual loss of $5 million. Where did he go from there?
He basically expounded on it and talked to Jeremiah Donati, the new athletics director at USC, and basically paraphrasing some of the things he said. They're okay with that right now, but it's not a model that can be sustained. And I'm trying to pull up his direct quote because I think that that actually is okay, here we go. There's a segment in the story, and I encourage everybody, whether the most recent texter, you want to read it, it might make you laugh, and Gamecock fans and Tiger fans, and I think it's a really interesting read, not just taking USC women's basketball as the example, but what women's sports across the country. So there's no question that our women's basketball program brings a tremendous amount of value, both tangible and intangible, including a vast amount of positive attention to our university. And so it's difficult to perfectly quantify that, Jeremiah Donati said. And soon it will become increasingly difficult for Donati to tout intangible revenue. If the House settlement goes through, as most expect it will, the school will be on the hook to pay its student athletes up to $20.5 million, of course, beginning in July. Since taking the South Carolina job in December, Donati has said how the Gamecocks and college athletics as a whole have operated in the past can't be how they operate in the future. It's not sustainable. So we've had very tough conversations with our coaches and staff. Just being honest, we just can't go on as business as usual. And I thought Jordan did a really nice job of breaking things down, and this shocked me. He said there is only one women's sports program in the country that actually turns a profit. I'd like to hazard a guess as to who that is.
I would say Connecticut.
Nope.
I would say Texas.
It is Nebraska volleyball.
Oh, you're talking any
It's
women's
the only
sport.
the only women's sports program in the country that, according to the story, turns a profit.
How about that?
He goes down. I don't want to get too deep into the minutia. You need to read the story, but he goes into how much money is generated for men's and women's basketball, football, the profits they bring in, the whole 9 yards. And basically part of women's basketball's problem, not just at USC, but across the board, is the lack of the TV deal. And so looking back on this year, when the figures come out at the end of this year with the new contract that ESPN put together to cover the NCAA tournaments and the units that each team will get, there may be a little bit of closing of the gap for what USC spends on women's basketball. And keep in mind, a lot of it is on salaries. Their coaching staff, not just Dawn Staley, but her assistants as well.
Yeah.
And now the unit for the women's tournament amounts to just about $115,000 or around $7,000 per school. So it's not going to be every SEC team on the men's side earns 1/16 of a unit. So when Alabama takes on BYU tonight, everybody's going to get 1/16 of that unit, which is $131,250. So there's a huge difference in what the men's tournament generates for schools and the women's tournament generates for their schools. And one thing I thought was interesting, the men's basketball team last year turned a profit of $3.4 million. If you take out the money they would have gotten in television revenue, if I'm not mistaken, they would have actually lost money. And this was a team that went to the NCAA tournament last year. The football team turned a profit of over almost $31 million. And that's a team, keep in mind this is last year, that's a team that went 5-7 and went to no bowl game. So, it's a wide gap. And now you start to understand when you see these numbers why, as you pointed out, Clemson has said that $20.5 million, pretty much all of it is going to football.
Yeah.
Because we've got to have the trickle-down effect. We're going to make sure football is successful, and then everything else will just have to fall in line.
That has always been Clemson's approach. And as has been reported by Larry Williams of Tiger Illustrated, 86% is going to football, 11% is going to men's basketball, and then everybody else has got to fight over the 3% that's left. So it's going to be fun to watch how all this is handled internally by the ADs. Now you've got general managers who apparently can be empowered to fire football coaches, like out at Stanford. Is that a outlier sort of situation? I can't believe other general managers have the authority to fire coaches. And did Andrew Luck, was he really the one that? I guess he was the one that made the call, because I haven't seen anything from their AD about it. So they've turned over the football program to him. I don't think that's the case in many other places. So the continuing changing that we're seeing in college sports seems like it's non-ending. Like every day it's something else. Somebody's being sued. Somebody is trying to get money from this opportunity, that opportunity, and you got a lot of people out there trying to cash in on this. They see it as a cash chase out there. It's an opportunity to cash in as an agent or as a working a collective, whatever you happen to be involved with. These people see it as an opportunity to get rich and get rich in a hurry.
Well, Phil, obviously, this is focused on one of the most successful program in terms of wins and losses and championships at USC right now, and showing the women's basketball program lost $5.6 million last year. But what I found interesting is there are only two programs over there that turned a profit. It was football and men's basketball. And again, men's basketball was aided by all the NCAA tournament money and the TV revenue that went into the men's basketball program. It's easy to pick on the women's team, but what do you do with baseball that lost almost $3 million? Women's track and field and cross country lost over $3 million. Swimming and diving lost over $1.5 million. Equestrian lost over $2 million. I mean, what you're going to see, I think, is a lot of schools are going to have to look at all of their sports programs, especially their Olympic programs. And I hope we don't have a situation where schools start doing what Furman has done and get rid of baseball and start dropping programs because they can't afford it. And we've already seen one Division I program has announced it's dropping back to D3. And that's St. Francis, and their head coach who got them to the NCAA tournament, he announced today he's retiring. So, you want to talk about the changing landscape of college athletics going to be totally dictated on revenue.
All right, we got to run to the break. After the break, we're going to hear from Dawn Staley. She doesn't talk about finances around her program, but she does talk about things related to women's college basketball, as well as the matchup with Maryland coming up tomorrow. That will follow the first game here in Birmingham. That'll be North Carolina and Duke. So you got to love the flavor of that particular bracket. The 4 of the original 8 ACC programs all coming together here in Birmingham for a women's basketball Sweet 16 bracket. Okay, we'll hear from Dawn Staley after the break. Don't go away.
I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Whether it's becoming a teacher, dentist, or engineer, every child deserves the chance to chase their dreams. Investing in a child's education with Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 College Savings Plan, can help turn those big dreams into next steps. So don't wait. You can start with any amount. Contributions are tax deductible and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
Imagine a scrapbook filled with all your favorite memories of 75 years at Darlington Raceway. Now imagine that scrapbook going 190 miles per hour.
Have you ever? No, I've never.
You don't have to imagine. You need to get to Darlington, where the drivers of today tackle the track too tough to tame, just like they did your first time. NASCAR Throwback Weekend at Darlington Raceway, April 5th and 6th. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com. Discover South Carolina.
You're listening to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. We're back in a moment.
Some credit cards hit you with sky-high rates, annual fees, and surprise costs, but not here. Founders Federal Credit Union is proud to offer credit cards with rates below the national average, giving you more control over your finances. Our Essential MasterCard rates are as low as 13.25% APR. Our rewards cards start at just 15.25% APR. So you can earn while you spend. And the best part, there are no annual fees and no balance transfer fees, just straightforward savings, designed to keep more of your hard-earned money where it belongs, in your hands. So whether you're looking to consolidate debt, build credit, or just want a smarter way to spend, we've got the right card for you. Visit foundersfcu.com/cc to learn more or apply for a new credit card today. Relax, you're with Founders Federal Credit Union. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, here in Birmingham this afternoon, teams got a chance to work out at the Legacy Arena. Then we had, of course, the press conferences with the coaches and the players. Let's go to Dawn Staley. Here is some of what the USC coach had to say as she took questions from the media.
So as women's basketball has evolved over the last year or so, how has your role evolved beyond basketball, being a face of the sport, having discussions about leadership beyond basketball with your players? How has that role evolved for you?
I think I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I'm doing, comfortable in my skin with dealing with look, sound, feel. If something looks, sounds, or feels off, then I address it. If it looks, sounds, or feels great, then I promote it. So it's what it's supposed to be. Our program has been very successful, and more times than not, the questions about the state of our game is directed towards the most successful coach. So I've been, and I don't mean to sound like I'm patting myself on the back, but it's just how it is in our sport. Is we just gravitate towards, who's had the most success to figure out, to get quotes about our game. I would probably say the same thing that I say today that I would have said 15, 20 years ago, but we were just still trying to become a prominent program. And now that we field those questions, and I only want our game to grow, even if that's a detriment momentarily to our program, and I'm okay with that.
Hi, Dawn, Alana Timms with the AP. Kind of sticking with just the general women's basketball, as a fan, a supporter of the game, how tough or unfortunate was it to see Juju Watkins go down for the season?
Really tough. Juju's loved by all of us. Juju is raising and lifting our game up with how she plays, with cornering the market when it comes to NIL deals. She's a business herself, and to see part of that not be a part of our NCAA tournament, something's missing. There's a big void, and we were fortunate enough to be one of her schools in the end. I've kept in touch with her, her support system. I sent her a text out. The night of the injury, but it went green, so that means I don't have the right number. But her person sent me the right number last night, so I shot her a text last night.
Andrea Adelson with ESPN.com. Dawn, you talked last season about the challenges coaching the team presented to you with so many youngsters. I'm wondering, as you headed into this season, whether you had a different approach with players coming back off of last year.
I think the biggest thing in winning a championship and then coming back is the players seem to forget how hard it was. Like we won, we were undefeated, and you can kind of get drunk off that success and think we could do it again, and it's much harder than they could have ever imagined. So we had to work through just not playing our best basketball early and not playing to the standard that we were used to, and those lessons came with a few losses this season that we needed. Like every single one of our losses came at a time where we needed it, and we came out better because of it. And I hope it's enough to get us to the finish line.
Don Chaz Frazier, ABC Columbia. This is the 16th ranked team you're going to play this year. You never shy away about saying early in the year you schedule for this time. So describe how the gauntlet of schedule, the regular season, just primes for the biggest stage in March. We manufacture our schedule, so we can, in the end, like now in March and April, we're prepped for styles of play. We're prepped for being seasoned and playing against highly competitive programs. It's what we've done. It's what we've done for probably my entire career, or it's probably what we've wanted to do for my entire career. So it's not based on trying to pad our
try to pad wins, because we're not like that. We try to pad championships, and the only way you do that is you play, a really good competitive non-conference. The SEC is going to be super competitive, so we just like to prepare for moments like the Sweet 16 and knowing that it's going to be a hard-fought matchup, and hopefully we got enough familiarity to, if we're in a tight game, to finish it, to know how to finish it and not, not blink, not flinch, just finish it.
Ben Pickman from The Athletic. General question. You guys, Texas and LSU, are all in the bottom 15% in the country in three-point attempt rate. I guess, how important do you think the three-point shot is to modern-day women's college basketball? And why are you guys able, you guys as a trio, able to have success without, taking a ton of threes?
Well, I would say one is personnel-based. Two is if you're not going to be able to control the three-point line, then you got to control the paint. So I don't know what the numbers are as far as controlling the paint, but I'm quite sure that connects all of those programs that you've just mentioned. So there's a way around it. Obviously, we got some players in that can shoot it. Probably hasn't shot it as well as we shot it last year. But when you make winning, points in the paint battle, when you make that an emphasis, you can, and you defend, you give yourself an opportunity to really win some tough basketball games and compete for a national championship.
That was a great line. What was it she said? We don't schedule to pile up wins, but to pile up championships. Pad wins,
to pad championships.
I love that line.
And she's right. She's right. They have been padding championships.
Yeah. That's an awesome line. I like that. Padding championships. Now, that's coming from a very successful championship level coach, not just as a coach, but also as a player. I mean, you got to remember her confidence, her competitive arrogance is what I will call it. That stems from her day as being one of the great women's players of all time.
Yeah.
It's carried over to her coaching. They should take that quote and put that on a T-shirt or something. Yeah, I like that. Be back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The U.S. announced the arrest of one of the top MS-13 gang leaders in the United States in a city just south of Washington, D.C.
He is an illegal alien from El Salvador, and he will not be living in our country much longer. He's in custody this morning. One of the top leaders right here near our nation's capital.
That's Attorney General Pam Bondi. The suspect was charged with illegal gun possession after agents found several firearms during the search of his home, that according to court papers. An appeals court is upholding a judge's order requiring the Trump administration to rehire thousands of federal workers. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
The government argued that judges can't micromanage federal worker policies, but a split Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals panel turned back the emergency motion. At issue was a lower court judge's order requiring the Trump administration to rehire thousands of probationary workers who were let go in mass firings. The judge found legal problems with the way the firings were carried out. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Senator John Husted says to balance the budget, Congress should take a serious look at the way some programs are being managed.
I mean, let's face it, I don't know why, like on programs, for example, SNAP, which is a program to help poor people buy food, that we pay for the very things that make them obese and unhealthy. There's no reason that the federal government should do that anymore.
Husted says health care is the single biggest sector where inflation is hurting the U.S. economy. He spoke with the Salem Radio Network. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 155 points, the Nasdaq dropped 94, the S&P lower by 18. More at townhall.com.
Heard me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
Healthcare is complicated. It doesn't have to be. If you don't love how your health insurance works, maybe it's time to leave traditional health insurance behind. Take charge of your healthcare with Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM offers you flexibility. Enroll anytime, choose your own provider, and select the program that fits your needs and budget. CHM is the original faith-based way of taking care of your medical bill costs. Learn more at chministries.org/wellness.
The average U.S. mortgage rate declined slightly this week.
Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac says the average rate on a 30-year mortgage fell this week to 6.65%. This decline follows 2 straight weekly increases. The rate averaged just above 7% as recently as mid-January, but has been mostly coming down since then. When mortgage rates drop, they give homebuyers more purchasing power. That's good news for home shoppers as the spring home buying season gets going. I'm Alex Vega.
Weak population gains and increased government spending will result in slower overall economic growth over the next 30 years, the Congressional Budget Office said. The latest long-term economic outlook report for a time frame spanning 2025 to 2055 projects publicly held debt to reach 156% of gross domestic product, or GDP, in 2055. News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. The clouds roll in overnight. We'll have a low temperature dipping down to 48. Tomorrow you can look for a blend of sunshine and clouds. We're warmer. The high is 82. For the weekend, nicer on Saturday than Sunday. Saturday, mostly cloudy skies, the high at 80, while on Sunday, rounds of thunderstorms and 77. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
It does my heart good. Does my heart good to see the Braves lose when the Yankees win. Just confirms what I have felt my entire life, that Braves suck, Yankees rule. Top of the ninth, 7-4, San Diego over Atlanta.
Remind me once again, who has the more recent World Championship between the two teams?
Well, the one that has 27 in total would not be the correct answer.
Josh wasn't alive the last time the Yankees won the world title.
He wasn't alive in 2010? I think he was.
Hold on a second. I'm not 15 years old here.
He might have been in some very large diapers, but he was.
It's getting close.
He was
getting
here.
Further and further away.
He was here. Braves are down 7-4. Of course, Chris Sale started for the Braves today, and Albies has
bad outing.
Yeah, Albies has 3 of their RBIs today. He also has a home run. So that explains kind of why he's got that. Sale went 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, all earned. He struck out 7. Lee came on, pitched an inning. Then Neris came in, gave up 3 runs, did not record an out. And then it was a real bummer for the Braves. Bummer came on. Bummer came on and pitched an inning, and then Holmes he pitched the last inning. Okay, so Braves are down 7-4 in the top of the ninth at San Diego. Let's see here. A couple of more messages have come in to our message line, our Sports Talk message line, brought to you by Larry Lucas Insurance. Phone number 803 for the message line, 803-900-4847. Oh, good. Somebody signed their name. Eddie in Loris said once NIL approved and ruled on, this opened doors for everyone and every entity to try and present themselves for more money. Totally changed the landscape of college sports, especially football and basketball. Back to this me world, give it to me. Oh, back to this me world, give it to me. It's mine, just my take. Oh, just my take. Money always always been loved, but seems just the more liberal world, and it's filtered down to everything, including college sports. Okay. Got the gist of that? Yeah, I mean, you're right. As soon as the NIL plan was put in place, it's just amazing. The first thing to come out of the woods, the collectives. I mean, they were just everywhere with names and here's how you can give your money, and they wanted that money faster, and you could pull it out of your wallet. And ADs going on the big screens of the stadiums. The future means we must have more of your money to be successful and to continue to grow and be competitive. We must have more of your money. It's blackmail. Either give us money or we're going to stink. It's pretty much the line here from ADs and everyone today. If you don't put the money in, we're not going to win. Well, let me tell you something, people. Putting the money in is not going to guarantee success. Okay? Even if you go out and buy the best talent you can buy, it's not going to guarantee success. You know that to be the case. You're not stupid, but you're gonna have to either. On the other hand, you're either going to have to choose to play the game the way the rules are now, or get left behind.
Or get out.
Here's more in our conversation on women's basketball. We don't have a name on this text string. Money is not in the women's sports. I mean, sorry to say, but it's facts. Beach volleyball teams get my vote. Let's see. Men's basketball is about to start, but I still want to hang around and laugh at you guys. Talking about women's basketball. Well, we're glad to have you. We're glad to have you. Glad you're hanging in there.
So obviously, that person is not married and has no daughters, because clearly he has no interest in women at all, except objectifying them.
I mean, I can't speak for his, what his habits are, but it sounds like he doesn't like women's basketball. And you know what? That's his right, just like it's the right of all those people who happen to love women's basketball.
But I don't begrudge them. There is one flaw in his point about the women's sports are the only ones that don't have money. I mean, I just ran through how South Carolina fared, and the majority of USC, and they're not alone in this, it was just the example we had, the majority of men's sports at the collegiate level don't make money either. And that includes baseball.
Well, we've known that. That's not, we're not uncovering new stuff there. We've known forever that's the case. Okay. Let's go to a little more Dabo Swinney. We got a little bit in last night after he got off the practice field with the scrimmage yesterday, but we were a little bit pressed for time and didn't get in a lot of the good meat and potatoes of what he had to say. So why don't you lead us in to the meat and potatoes here for a few minutes of Dabo Swinney?
I think we got this portion of his comments on the air last night, but just in case we didn't, and I think it's worth repeating, he starts off talking about Cade Klubnik and how much better he looked in scrimmage number 2 than he did in scrimmage 1. And as we pointed out, after scrimmage 1, when Dabo got on him and talked about he looked like he had already made plans to go to Cabo for spring break, that was intentional. Dabo does nothing without thinking it out first, and he wanted to light a fire, as he actually points out. You don't get an opportunity to yell at your best players all that often. That's the reason they're your best players. So he took full advantage of that. He also continues to beat the drum, which I find interesting for Christopher Vezina. He keeps saying he's a guy who's getting better and better. So we'll start off with some comments you may have heard last night about Cade Klubnik, and we'll move into the majority of what he had to say about yesterday's scrimmage.
He bounced back. I mean, he wasn't terrible. I know everybody may, oh my God, if I say one critical thing, it's like, geez almighty. I mean, he's had a really good spring. I didn't think he was as sharp as he needed to be in that first scrimmage. You know, there was just a couple of things that I just expect of him, you know, at this stage. 2 years ago, I might not have said anything, but at this point, like you know, he's got to be a coach on the field for us. But I mean, he knew it. It's not like he doesn't know it, but. Anytime you get an opportunity to yell at some of those guys, it's great. You know, he don't give you a lot of opportunities, so take advantage of it when you get a chance to really coach those best players hard. But again, fortunately for him, he doesn't give you a lot of that opportunity. But he's been good. I mean, he bounced back, had a good couple of days, and I don't know. I think he was 5 or 7 today, and did what he needed to do with his reps. We're really pressing, you know, those other guys, and just trying to. You know, we gotta be, those guys got to be ready to go play. So some guys are limited a little bit. We've got a few guys that are taking all the reps. We're, you know, not tackling them. We're a little thin. We got a bunch of guys that are out. Just you know, it's just kind of part of it. But we got to practice. We got a lot we got to get done. But you know, limited Wood-Az a little bit today. Still got the work he needed, but. Really force an issue on some of these guys that we really need to strain and it not cost us a ball game, you know. So now's the time to get that stuff done. I'm not as much worried about winning the practice as I am getting guys, you know, exposed and get them better.
2 scrimmages for CD in the books. What's your overall?
Yeah, some really good, and then some things where you just go, oh, man, just, you know, a couple of layups that he needs to make, just a couple of situational awareness things that he needs to learn from. He's had a couple turnovers, but, I mean, he can do it. I mean, he's big and strong. He's just night and day from where he was this time last spring. Last spring was the first time he really took any reps outside of just, you know, scout reps. And then that carried into the fall. We really saw him kind of make a jump the latter part of the season. And, you know, so, I mean, we're really pushing. He's a guy that we're really straining this spring. So he's, again, he's done some good. He's done some things he needs to do better. But he's a very conscientious guy. It's important to him. And again, he can do it. He's made some, I think in the last scrimmage, I thought he did some good things in particular, especially when he didn't know he was going in, and all of a sudden, change you're in, and he throws a touchdown in the red zone. Really well placed ball. So he's had some of that, but then he's had some other things where it's like, you know, just guys wide open in a flat route, and just all of a sudden he gets a little anxious, speeds up, and we throw it at his feet and we catch it for 3 yards instead of scoring a touchdown. And so just, you know, a little bit of mixture, but it's just playing. You just got to play. And so this is our opportunity to create that stress for him. You know, he's gotten a lot of work with the ones, which he needs. And so he's just going to keep getting better because, again, he's wired the right way. He's important to him. And he's a guy that we got to have him ready for, you know, if a moment comes up where we need him to go win a game.
Garrett was saying that Tristan Smith has flashed. What have you seen from him?
Absolutely. I mean, he busted an assignment today. Not his fault. That wasn't his fault, but he's flashed all spring, and he's a guy just needs to get through spring, get exposed to everything, and then, you know, after spring, really go back through everything at a little bit of a different pace for him. Now that it's not going to be the first time he's heard it, and he goes back through it and matches it up with the tape. I think he'll make a big stride, and then he needs a big summer skills and drills and just timing and just his confidence has grown. But you put in a whole offense and you got a bunch of veteran guys out there, and he's the guy rolling in that's new. And now, but he just catches your eye because he's long, and he runs well. But what I like about him is, he some guys are big, but they don't use their body to play big, and he can do that. I've been really pleased with some of the plays that he's made, and then he's had some others that I think sometimes he just it's fast, and he's just thinking, am I doing the right thing? And so I think he'll get through that this summer, and I really anticipate him making a big jump by the time we get through fall camp. I really do. And I really love that kid. He's very mature. He's very serious about it. He's like the happiest guy on the team. He's just really, really happy. He's had a tough journey. He's just really happy to be at a place like Clemson.
A place like Clemson. They're thinking national championship here in the spring with everything they've got back and the people they've added, Chris, and I think that's a very reasonable thought by Clemson people to think they can win it all. Even if they lose to LSU to open the season, not going to mean a thing from that standpoint.
No, with the playoff expansion, lose a game like that really doesn't hurt you. They proved it last year. Lose to Georgia, don't look very good about it, and still get into the playoffs. And with Cade Klubnik back, they should be one of the front runners for sure.
That's going to be a heck of a game, though. I'm looking forward to it already, and we'll be back with recruiting. We're with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, let's say I'm out in the woods or I'm on the water and I need to reach a DNR agent. How do I do that?
Operation Game Thief, Phil. It's been around 30-plus years. You can call us at our 24-hour hotline any time of day, 1-800-922-5431. To report wildlife violations or to get help if you're in trouble in the woods or on the water, call us at Operation Game Thief, 1-800-922-5431.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hosseller-Brown. Did you know Lawyer Lisa offers a prevention plan add-on to our services? If you already have a trust or just need some updates, ask about getting your ducks in a row and getting all of your wishes set out before it's needed. Visit lawyerlisa.com for more information.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
If you're looking to grow your business, Sports Talk is here to help. Whether you're a small business owner or part of a large company in the Palmetto State, we want to hear about what you do. Sports Talk has a proven track record of delivering real results to our partners, and advertising with us is probably more affordable than you think. Our network of affiliates gives us the flexibility to work with budgets of all sizes, and our statewide coverage means that whether you're in Greenville, Orangeburg, Chesterfield, Charleston, Woodruff, or anywhere in between, your future customers are listening to Sports Talk every night. Radio remains one of the most effective ways to reach potential customers, and with our extensive reach across South Carolina, your message will be heard. Every business has a story, and we're here to help share yours. Let's find success together. Email us at sportstalkmedianetwork@gmail.com or visit sportstalksc.com to learn more about how we can help grow your business.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Okay, let's give you that recruiting report tonight. It is brought to you by our good friends over at Seawells. Love me some Seawells. And tomorrow is a Friday, which means I'm hoping for you good people back in South Carolina that it will be a roast beef Friday. What do we have, Plumber?
Dang, man. I'm sorry.
Oh.
No roast beef.
What?
No roast beef.
What?
But there is southern fried chicken, sliced beef brisket, baked flounder fillets, and honey barbecue and lemon pepper chicken wings.
That's pretty darn good in and of itself. So make sure you get to Seawells. The daily luncheon buffet coming your way tomorrow from 11 till 2. It's only $14. You will enjoy it immensely. And, of course, for the very best in the catering business, you want to give Seawells a phone call. Let them help you out. Phone number 803-771-7385. Online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. Don't forget Seawells is conveniently located on Rosewood Drive right across from the fairgrounds. So when you go out tomorrow, you want to go during the early part of the day and go have lunch at Seawells and go across the street to the Sportsman's Classic.
There you go.
That is what I call a great day.
That is a great day. And I get to do recruiting tomorrow night, too. Excellent.
Yeah, can you kind of practice tonight a little bit?
You want me to read along behind the scenes?
Yeah, just be prepared.
Lawyer Lisa.
Ooh, you say that so well. See, I can tell that you are a professional.
Attorney Lisa.
You are a professional play-by-play man, and I am not. Okay.
Yeah, but you are professional at recruiting.
Well, I don't know about
bow
that.
down to the corn.
I don't know about all that. But tonight, Dorman safety Kentavian Anderson told us last night he knows who will be his choice when he makes his commitment announcement on his 17th birthday on May 15th. Yes, sir, but I'm not telling anybody, Anderson said. It was the academics and the playing time as a freshman. He's only been to Clemson this spring, and that was for the elite retreat March 8th. He said it was amazing getting to meet the new coaches and their families and touring the great facilities. And they said he could play anywhere on the field. They were telling him that they feel like he's a great ball player, can play anywhere on the field. He plays the two safety spots as well as the nickel spot. And they also showed him how some of their best guys played around at several positions. So they were showing him how they move people around. He also was at Clemson in January for a junior day. He also visited USC in January. He talked earlier this week with Gamecock secondary coach Torian Gray about their spring practices and their spring game, and he said that he told him the same thing that Clemson's told him, how he could fit in with their scheme and get more playing time as a freshman. Anderson has not made plans for any other visits this spring because of his 7-on-7 schedule, but he said he plans to make a stop at USC at some point. He added the only official visit he will take will be to the school he announces for in May. Also on the short list with Anderson have been Michigan, Virginia, Kentucky, and Indiana. Quarterback Brady Smigel of California is at USC today. They did arrive. He posted a picture of a business that had his name on the marquee in 5 Points, so he's starting to get that 5 Points feel. I don't know, the last quarterback from California that came to South Carolina that they thought was going to be really good did not turn out to be all that. But Smigel appears to be the real deal. Big kid, big arm, got a coach as a father. So he's now on his visit to South Carolina for the weekend. South Carolina target defensive back K.J. Johnson has set an official visit to Ole Miss for June 20th. Basketball, Clemson guard Jake Heidbreder is transferring. Came out today. Meantime, Tiger Illustrated is reporting that Nevada's 6'10" Nick Davidson and Utah Valley's 6'10" Carter Welling are both scheduled to be at Clemson soon for, I guess you call them official visits now. With the transfers, I don't know if it's official visits, if the agents are paying for it, if they've got, money in the bank to cover it, whatever they got. But Paul Strelo, Tiger Illustrated, reporting these two, Nick Davidson, Carter Welling, to visit Clemson here really soon, like maybe tonight, tomorrow, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
James Madison transfers 6'3". Bryce Lindsey has Clemson in South Carolina among the schools which have expressed interest in him. You like him?
Yes. He's a solid player. James Madison had plenty of them. Just has Louisville. Got one of them.
And South Carolina is on the list of schools in touch with North Florida transfer 6'6", Josiah Miles. Well, in the case of the Gamecocks, if you can't beat them, get them out of the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
He averaged over 15 points per game this season, and he scored 11 points and grabbed 9 rebounds in that win at USC last November. Now, who would have thought when the Gamecocks lost to North Florida that it was going to be foretelling of the season ahead? Of course, I remember saying when they struggled to beat Paris's alma mater in the scrimmage game, in the exhibition game. Remember how they kind of struggled?
Worcester.
Yeah. And were terrible from the free throw line. I said, that's not a good sign. Turned out to be kind of the case.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
all right, that's it for recruiting. Recruiting brought to you every night on Sports Talk by Seawells. Let's jump to Andy very quickly before we hit the the bottom of the hour break. Going to hear from Mike Furry and from Kyle Larson coming up here on Sports Talk. Andy, what's up? Good to have you with us.
Hello, Corn. Hello, Chris. Hello, Josh. I thought there was a big kid from Providence that's coming into Columbia to look on the portal.
Could be. I haven't seen it, but anything's possible.
I heard there was 2 big kids. I think one's like 6'10", and I'm not sure about the other one. Okay, this is my question regarding women's basketball. What is the price of season tickets for women's basketball compared to men's basketball? And with the fan base at South Carolina, what would be, because I'm sure that probably men's basketball season tickets and a ticket to that game is a lot higher than a women's ticket. What is the possibility of upping the ante to watch your 3-time, possibly coming up to 4-time national champion team play?
I think ticket prices are going to go up, Chris. Don't you think so as well?
I would agree. Yeah, I think that's probably the easiest place to start, trying to cut that gap back between the amount that's being spent and the amount that they're bringing in. As a matter of fact, they pointed out in the Jordan Case story, excuse me, Andy, he pointed out that both UConn and I think Iowa, especially last year with Caitlin Clark, made a whole lot more money than South Carolina does off ticket sales, and they each play in much smaller buildings.
Is there any way y'all can find out what the ticket costs are for each side, men's and women's?
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, Don Staley puts a much better product on the court than the men's team, and honestly, I think you have better players coming in. Not players, but teams coming in to South Carolina than you do, for women's than you do for men.
All right, and the men do have 2 guys visiting. I'll tell you about that after the break.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. The clouds roll in overnight. We'll have a low temperature dipping down to 48. Tomorrow you can look for a blend of sunshine and clouds. We're warmer. The high is 82. For the weekend, nicer on Saturday than Sunday. Saturday, mostly cloudy skies, the high at 80, while on Sunday, rounds of thunderstorms and 77. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Explore the world with the 30th Annual Columbia International Festival, April 5th and 6th at the South Carolina State Fairgrounds with plenty of free parking. Experience 100 national exhibits, cuisines from around the world, an international bazaar with unique gifts, a global fashion show, parade of nations, and the sights and sounds of performers from around the globe. For tickets and more information, visit CIFonline.org. That's CIFonline.org.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The White House has pulled Representative Elise Stefanik's nomination to be U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. President Trump wants her to remain in the House to cement the GOP's narrow margin in the lower chamber. She was seen as one of the least controversial cabinet picks. Attorney General Pam Bondi says the alleged leader of the MS-13 street gang on the East Coast has been arrested in Virginia. The 24-year-old man from El Salvador was described as one of MS-13's top 3 leaders in the U.S. A provincial governor in Egypt says that at least 6 Russian tourists are dead after a recreational submarine on an underwater cruise of coral reefs sank off the Egyptian Red Sea resort town of Hurghada. More details at srnnews.com.
Nobody plans for a plumbing problem. They come unannounced and usually at a very inconvenient time. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is your trusted ally. They recognize just how vulnerable a customer is at this time, and they want to help. They have well-trained plumbers who are there to make a difference when you need it most. I've experienced this. They're knowledgeable about their craft. They're not coming to your house to pitch new products. If something is broken, they'll give you a price to fix it if it's possible, or a price to replace it if necessary. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is also locally owned and operated, or I simply wouldn't endorse them. Josh and his team prioritize customer service above everything else. They handle every issue with care and precision. Those are not just words. I've had Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning out to my home. They back up those words with their actions. If you have a crisis, get some peace of mind. Online, you find them at franklinplumbing.sc.com or you call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. I'm absolutely positive they will make whatever is wrong right again. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning.
Are you ready to have a boatload of fun this spring? Sail on down to your local Palmetto State Armory store and deck yourself out in our new lifestyle t-shirts, hats, and fishing shirts. Seize the day with brands like Hey Dudes, Costa, Turtle Box, Local Boy, and more. Our selection of rifles, pistols, and shotguns is sure to impress. So don't be left fishing for something to wear once the warmer weather has arrived. Check out one of our 9 retail locations or PalmettoStateArmory.com to outfit your next adventure.
Want to hear my success story? I'm Fran Halloran, the money coach. I'm celebrating a decade of partnering with The Point. It's one of the best decisions I ever made. I've used The Point to significantly grow my small business. It started with a meeting with Kevin Cohen. Do you own a small business? Are you on a limited budget? No problem. Reach out to Kev at 563-8558. Get a customized plan and start your journey to business growth with The Point today. Success is one call away. Take the leap.
People hear me talking about Broker Solar and how much I like Ken and his team. They ask, hey, can I really trust this guy, Kev? Let me tell you 2 things. Number 1, Ken and Broker Solar are legit. I've known Ken's family for 20 plus years. Seriously, these are local, ethical people. They're not going anywhere and they do things the right way. Number 2, Broker Solar is so different than these stereotypes we've heard about in the solar industry. There's no signs on the yard making stupid promises they can't keep. There's no door knockers trying to pressure you at your own door. Ken and Broker Solar will tell you the truth, what it'll cost, and how your solar power investment will pay off. See, we can't pick our power companies. Broker Solar gives you a chance to take some control over your power bill, and I like that, and so should you. Online, it's brokersolar.com, and seriously, reach out to Ken and these folks. It could really make a difference in your quality of life. Brokersolar.com, empowering you so you're not powerless.
Appreciate Andy bringing to our attention 2 players visiting South Carolina. John Whittle of the Big Spur has got the story. One is coming from Providence, Creased Esendako. Creased Esendako, he's 7 feet 290. Played in 22 games this season, averaged 4 points, 4 rebounds per game. And on campus, Lou Bajak retweeted a picture of this young man on campus as he put a picture on his Instagram. Christian May, 6'6", from Towson. He averaged 7 points, about 8 points, and 4 rebounds per game. Esendako has 2 seasons of eligibility left, and May has 1 year of eligibility left. So that's according to John Whittle from the Big Spur. So South Carolina having a couple for a visit, and Clemson having a couple, and they'll probably have a bunch more because they got They got a lot of room to play with on those rosters. Can you update us on the basketball, sir? And I'll tell you that the Braves did end up losing. They're 0-1, and they have been eliminated from the race 7-4.
Like the White Sox, huh?
Yeah,
like
7-4.
White Sox.
Braves go down. They did have an early 1-0 lead in the first inning, so they were leading, but they ended up losing 7-4. What you got?
Well, Alabama and BYU on pace for about 120 to 115 final score, which we kind of anticipated, especially the way Alabama likes to play. They've got no interest in playing defense, and evidently neither does BYU. 32-28 with 8.5 minutes left to go in the first half. First one to 100 may win that one.
I watched the Celtics and the Suns last night, and the Celtics, they were in one of their good moods because I think they finished with well over 20 pointers. I think.
Ooh.
I'd have to go back and check. It was about 14 or 15 in the fourth quarter, but they kept knocking down threes. They won like 120-something to 100. They won by a ton, but they were just knocking down threes all over the place last night for another victory. Okay, let's go back to more football here on Sports Talk. Spring practice update for you here on Sports Talk. And our spring practice updates, as you heard from Dabo Swinney a little while ago, and now we're going to hear from South Carolina's Mike Furry, wide receiver coach, and our spring football coverage proudly brought to you by
Lawyer Lisa.
Make sure you visit
LawyerLisa.com
to find out how
Lawyer Lisa
and her team can help you plan for your family's future. Now, why do we do that? Plumber, why are we playing fill in the blank there? Why is that? Why do we do that? What's the reason?
Corn is illiterate. Corn is illiterate.
I wish you'd be a little
until we get Mike Morgan back on the show.
Be a little quicker on the trigger, will you? Be a little quicker on the trigger. Okay. USC receivers coach Mike Furry excited about the guys he has to work with. He spoke with us just the other day.
3 days in, and I guess a couple months of the offseason, what are your impressions of your group so far?
It's exciting. It's a bunch of new faces, and then you got some guys that I believe that are returning from last year that have gained a lot of experience. Rather playing or practicing the way that we practice and executing the way that we want to, execute. And what we demand on a daily basis. So it's exciting because you have a lot of new faces that are going really hard. You got a lot of guys coming back that understand how to play the game now the right way. And it's a good little combination.
What are you hoping? What do you need the freshmen to learn to gain through spring ball?
Well, I think we recruited every single one of them because of their talent, right? And so, the first thing that always goes is things slow down. They slow down, a lot of thinking going on, and their skill set and their talent kind of doesn't show right away. And a lot of that's just really becoming comfortable, right? And so we've challenged these guys a lot over the last 6 weeks since we really kind of been doing all this stuff of trying to get these guys to understand what their assignments are, understand how to get lined up, or understand how to line up, and then execute and perform the details that we're asking them to do in regards to the routes that we're asking them to run. So, when you look at it collectively, all of them have taken a deep breath over the last 6 weeks. They've all gotten in. They've been, Coach Day does a phenomenal job in our weight program to get guys acclimated, because it's rigorous, it's demanding, and it's structured, and it's kind of like playing the game. And so they've all responded very well to that, and that's helped them be ready for spring ball. And what these guys have shown over the first 3 days, I've been very impressed.
I know it's early, but Mike Shula said yesterday that he wants to incorporate the pass game into the offense a little more, so Lenoris Sellers can run when he wants to rather than when he has to. How is those conversations that kind of get the pass game more into the offense look like, and how do you see these receivers fitting into that?
Yeah, well, I think it's really just analyzing your talent, right? Seeing what you have, Obviously last year we had a heck of a running back in Rocket, and in the beginning of the season, like everybody was trying to figure out what kind of quarterback Lenoris was going to be, and we didn't have any weapons really on the outside that had proven themselves, right? And the guy that was probably the most consistent in regards to production, was Rocket Sanders. And what we did with him and what we asked him to do, especially early on last year, obviously helped us win a lot of football games. But now I think when you look at the whole picture of the returning guys that I mentioned, what they look like now with experience, Mazio and Nick Harbor and Jared Brown and Vendravius Jacobs, the 4 guys that are coming back that have a lot of experience now, they're completely different players. And that's part of the excitement of the guys. They're completely different players. And then you bring the talent in of the young guys that can run, and they're super talented. And I think so now you're not going to have to be so one-dimensional, right? And I think that's where all the excitement's coming from, or at least the thought process now is we don't have to rely on one thing. Collectively, as an entire offense now, you better be able to defend everything. And I think that's the best part about an offense that you want to kind of design, right? And I think we're in that situation hopefully by the end of spring.
Aside from the production, which we could all see with Nick towards the end of last season, what are some of the things that maybe we don't see that makes him a completely different player?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is maturity, right? And I without getting too much into it, and Nick can speak a lot about it on his own when he talks to you guys. But I think when you look at a Nick Harbor, I think everybody's expectations for Nick exceeded what his expectations were because he was so inexperienced at playing the position. And, but when you look at his body size, you would just assume that he would be able to go out there and just, dominate every game and every situation. Well, there's a lot that goes on to play wide out. I mean, it's not just running. I mean, you got to run as fast as you can. You got to get in and out of transitions. You got to be able to snap your head around. You got to be able to catch the ball when it's in flight, and you better be able to catch that ball while you're running 100 miles an hour after, at that ball. There's a lot that goes on, and he just hasn't. He hadn't at that time really experienced a lot of that stuff, right? It was all just speculation. And I think now the biggest thing for Nick that we're all excited about, including himself, is he's caught balls in games. He's went and got footballs. We've relied on him on some past stuff last year, and I think towards the end of the season, the touchdown against the Missouri, I think it was, or the ball he caught over the shoulder against Missouri, and then the touchdown coming back against Akron or whatnot, and kind of starting to get in the flow of things. That builds that builds confidence, right? And I think the more and more he becomes confident with himself, the more and more we'll start exceeding our expectations of what we think of Nick Harbor. And I think the other thing, too, for Nick, I think the best thing about Nick is, I told Nick this the other day, the best thing that ever could happen to Nick is these six freshmen that are coming in. Because they don't, they're going to come in here and just do everything they can and do it right and do it as fast as they can. And he's going to be able to learn from them a little bit, too, of how you're supposed to do stuff and see it the right way. And then be able to go out and emulate that also and add that to his game. And so it's kind of hand in hand with him coming back with experience and then the new guys coming in that are going to be able to push him. And he's had 3 really good days here at spring.
Okay, there you go. Comments from Mike Furry. We'll have more from him up on our website later on for you to hear the whole thing. And Alabama leading BYU 38-32. Got 6:18 to play in the opening half. And Florida with a 5-2 lead on Maryland early in that one. Arizona, Duke still to come, and Arkansas and Texas Tech. And still to come from here on Sports Talk, we're going to talk to the winner at Miami Homestead last Sunday, Kyle Larson, his 30th NASCAR Cup Series win. I think that he is putting himself into some pretty high cotton there among the all-time winningest drivers in NASCAR Cup history. So we'll hear from him after the break and update some other notes as well here on Sports Talk. Okay? And tomorrow night, of course, we'll be over at the arena coming to you from there. Bergie will be at his palace, kind of handling everything.
Steering the car.
We'll have the plumber. The plumber will be there in the big toilet, making sure everything flows smoothly. And we'll have Smitty over at the Sportsman's Classic with Major Downer. We're going to be everywhere you want to be tomorrow night.
If you're looking to grow your business, Sports Talk is here to help. Whether you're a small business owner or part of a large company in the Palmetto State, we want to hear about what you do. Sports Talk has a proven track record of delivering real results to our partners, and advertising with us is probably more affordable than you think. Our network of affiliates gives us the flexibility to work with budgets of all sizes, and our statewide coverage means that whether you're in Greenville, Orangeburg, Chesterfield, Charleston, Woodruff, or anywhere in between, your future customers are listening to Sports Talk every night. Radio remains one of the most effective ways to reach potential customers, and with our extensive reach across South Carolina, your message will be heard. Every business has a story, and we're here to help share yours. Let's find success together. Email us at sportstalkmedianetwork@gmail.com or visit sportstalksc.com to learn more about how we can help grow your business.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your wreck case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett, or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. Jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
$41-34. Alabama is lighting it up from downtown Birmingham, though they're playing. Where are they playing? Are they in Indy?
They're up in, no, they're in Newark.
Oh, okay. They're in Newark.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the East region.
All right.
But 12 3-pointers. That's what I was chuckling about. 12 3-pointers in the first half. They fit 16 field goals total. Give you an idea of how red hot they are from the outside.
Good time to find your offense in the Sweet
no
16. Okay. Yesterday, you were over at Darlington. We're 2 weekends away. This weekend, Martinsville. Next weekend, Darlington. The Goodyear 400, the throwback weekend. They had Kyle Larson at Darlington yesterday for the what we call that, the display of their throwback scheme. Yeah, why don't you take it from there?
Yeah, and I think when all is said and done, because Darlington every year during their throwback weekend, they have a fan votes for the most popular paint scheme. I think this one is going to win. It got a lot of reaction when we posted it on Twitter yesterday. And Phil, it's a really cool looking car. It's a throwback to the 2003 car that Bobby Labonte drove. No, not Bobby. Terry Labonte drove to Victory Lane at Darlington. It was a Kellogg's car back then, and it looks exactly the same except with different sponsors on it. And so Kyle Larson was at Darlington yesterday to talk about running at the track Too Tough to Tame, coming off a really good weekend for him in Miami, and then obviously touched on his throwback paint scheme as well.
It's just fun, you know. I mean, it suits our team well. It suits my driving style well. It always has. But it just feels like a real racetrack to me, and the crowd here feels like real race fans. So, you know, the throwback stuff that the track does is a lot of fun for us teams, and you know, getting to bring guys like Terry Labonte back to the track is really neat. So, yeah, I look forward to the couple of dates we have here this year, and hopefully we can win at least one of them.
Can you talk about the momentum about, throwback has been really big with Hendrick Motorsports. What does that do for your team kind of at the shop, and does it get the energy going?
Well, I'm happy that our team takes it serious, because you get a lot of media hits from it, and a lot of eyes on your team that week. So yeah, we've had some really cool throwbacks in my time, and even before I got to Hendrick, they always had some good ones. So yeah, thanks to Hendrick Automotive Group and HendrickCars.com for always coming up with some cool ideas.
How does Darlington Raceway tell the history of NASCAR?
Well, I just think through this weekend, or this weekend coming up with the throwback weekend, the teams that buy into it, it really touches on the past and some of the paint schemes that have helped built the foundation of our sport. So I love that they came up with this idea, and I love the teams still buy into it. It's becoming harder and harder, I think, for teams to get paint schemes that are meaningful to the sport. But thankfully with us, and Hendrick Motorsports, there's a lot of iconic schemes and moments throughout their history that we can go back on.
Kyle, you're one of the ones that can ride within like a couple of inches of the wall. How's that an advantage out here?
Yeah, I think it's an advantage, but I think it's a little easier here for other people to do good at it, just because that's the fast line, so you have to run out there, and people have more laps doing it, and like I said, the pace is slower at this end where you do run right up against the wall. So to me, it's a little easier to do it, but the track has a lot less grip, from the center off of 3 and 4, so that's where it gets kind of challenging. But I like having comfort here doing it, and it definitely, I think, helps me be a little bit more competitive.
We had Ross out here last week, and we talked to him about what he did to win a race on the wall riding it, and they said you can't do it anymore. You tried it here. What was your thinking trying to do that?
Well, you already commit right next to the wall anyways, so it wouldn't be hard to just pin it against the wall, and it showed that it was much faster. Obviously, you can't do that every lap, and you can't do it anymore, thankfully. So yeah, no, it's I don't know. You aren't gonna really. I mean, even if you see it these days, it's not because they're doing it on purpose. Like I did it on purpose in 2021, and then Ross did it, on purpose at Martinsville, and it really paid off. So, but yeah, I'm glad that they have a rule against that.
When does the preparation for the Indy 500 start for you?
I don't know. Soon. I mean, it's. I haven't really done much of anything. I had to get they have a new steering wheel, so I got that molded to my hands. But as far as prep stuff, I don't know. Right before it, I guess.
With the race earlier, is the tire strategy any different?
I don't know. I'd have to ask the team. I don't really know. I think the race is shorter, obviously, than the Southern 500, so I don't know how that plays into stage lengths and stuff like that. But I feel like Darlington's Darlington, and it's always hard on tires. So, but yeah, it seems pretty straightforward from what I remember.
Where does this throwback sit on all the ones you've driven before?
I've had some really good ones. The Kyle Petty Mellow Yellow 42 scheme, and then last year's scheme we had, and this year's would probably be all ranked pretty close to the top with each other. So I would say if we could win in one of them, that would probably give it the edge. So hopefully, coming back here in a couple weeks, we can do that. Like I said, Terry won his final race here in that same car, same scheme as what we're running, and it'd be pretty special.
Okay, Kyle Larson. Did you stand next to him? He's kind of a short dude, isn't he?
Yes, he's about 4 feet nothing.
Yeah.
Really nice guy, though. I really enjoyed listening to the conversation. I actually asked him. It's not in the audio we played here because it wasn't sort of Darlington related. But, he ran the truck, Xfinity, and also the Cup race down in Miami this weekend. I asked him, was it more difficult mentally or physically on him? And he said, quite frankly, it's probably mentally, just trying to, and you can understand that driving 3 different races over, he ran about, 900 miles over the weekend. He said he'd like to be able to do that more often. NASCAR won't let him because they don't let the Cup drivers drop down and drive the other series all that often. I think they maybe can get in the car 5 times in the Xfinity series and maybe even less in the Truck series. So, He seems to be one of those guys, and Josh even mentioned that when we had him on last night 2 nights ago from Darlington. He said, I think Kyle would drive every day if he could. He's just a racer, and his paint scheme for this weekend, I'm not for Darlington. I don't have a dog in the fight, but I'd be really surprised if that paint scheme does not win most popular.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's going to try and do the Indy and 600 double, is he not? Again.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
Because
it's interesting listening to him talk about the Indianapolis 500. It's almost like he just shows up and gets in the car and goes. But I didn't realize they had to have the steering wheel molded to their hands.
Yeah,
that was kind of interesting.
That was. He talked about that, and that was pretty cool stuff. Well, I've always liked him as a driver. I know he got in a little bit of trouble a few years ago. I think it was during the COVID year, right?
Yes, it was when they had the video game racing.
Yeah, he said some things and got caught saying some nasty stuff, and so he got suspended for a full year, and he's bounced back from that and kind of rejuvenated his career, and he's made himself into a very popular driver and a very successful driver, so somebody to watch moving forward with a chance to win the championship after getting that win, and then they go to Martinsville this weekend. Okay, let's update the basketball. It's Alabama 46-38 with 2:12 to play in the half against BYU, and Florida leading Maryland 15-9, 12:16 to go in the half there. Okay, been a busy show. Hope you enjoyed everything that we brought to you tonight. Tomorrow night will be equally busy with our coverage from the arena. Game should be maybe around halftime, maybe starting the second half by the time we get on the air tomorrow night. They tip off at 5 o'clock Eastern time here in Birmingham. So looking forward to being there for that, and looking forward to having Smitty, Major Downer, from the Sportsman's Classic over at the State Fairgrounds tomorrow. That should be a lot of fun. And you'll be bringing it all together, Bergie, handling all the hot calls and all the big moments of the show.
Yeah, Josh and I will just drive the car. You guys steer it whichever direction you need, but yeah, we'll check in with you a couple of times throughout the basketball games, and obviously let Smitty and Major Downer take over the first hour of the show for the most part, and talk a little golf as well to wrap up the week. I did have a quick question I didn't get to ask you if you still have your recruiting notes. The first player that you talked about tonight is waiting until May to make his announcement, but he already knows where he's going. Is there a reason he's delaying his announcement? Like, is it his birthday in May? Or
yeah, it's his birthday.
Is he going to do it on Mother's Day?
It's his birthday, May 15th.
It's his birthday.
Yeah.
So Jadeveon Clowney-esque.
Put it on your calendar. May 15th. He'll turn 17 years old. Yeah, that's why he's holding it in until then. So, I think people seem to think Clemson
to keep for a 16-year-old.
Yeah. I mean, the indicators seem to be Clemson with him since he was there in March, and that's been the only visit this spring. But prior to that, people were saying South Carolina with him. So unless Clemson has really turned his head, which they possibly had at that visit, South Carolina is still trying to get him in for a visit, maybe to get a last shot at him if that's the case. I don't know who it's going to be. Didn't try to press him on it. I just said, thank you very much. We'll wait and see what you decide to do. Give yourself a birthday present with that announcement coming up on his birthday. Yeah, good for him. Good for him. Okay. Anything else that we need to touch on before we shut it down tonight? Let me just double check here and see if there's anything else we want to mention. Silas Demery from Georgia, he's transferring, so see you later. And Greg Biffle.
Arrested.
No. He doesn't play football. Greg Biffle will be the honorary pace car driver for the Goodyear 400 at Darlington. So good for him. Hope he doesn't scrape the wall or anything. 15 of the 17 ACC schools, 15 of the 16 SEC schools opted not to televise their spring games this year. The only three who are doing it, Virginia, Georgia Tech, and Texas A&M. Why are they anti-TV all of a sudden? We'll see you tomorrow.